So you're moving to the Atlanta area and you're deciding between Buckhead or Midtown. Which one's better? To be honest, it really depends. So I'm going to compare these two areas, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of which area is going to be better for you. I definitely don't want you to be moving to the wrong area and hating it after a year. So we're going to get into it right now. Hey guys, it's Molly and welcome to my channel. If you are new or returning and have not subscribed to my channel yet, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, give me a like, and hit that bell if you want to be notified when I do post a new video about an Atlanta neighborhood. But I am here to help you and make your move to the Atlanta area a little bit easier. I'm just pointing out different neighborhoods. So hopefully you can find one that fits your lifestyle and your budget. But as I go along, as always, put any of those questions or comments in the comments box below. My contact information is down there as well, but you can always shoot me a text, give me a call, or send me an email as well. Would love to hear from you. I love helping you guys out and finding a place to call home here in the Atlanta area. Okay, with that said, let's get into it. Buckhead versus Midtown, which one do you choose? Everyone has this conundrum. I mean, they are very, very similar, especially if you're looking for a condo or an apartment complex. You know, there's very similar buildings in both the Midtown and the Buckhead area. So how do you know which one's going to be a better area for you? So I want to cover a couple of different topics and we can compare and contrast the two, and we'll get into it right now. I think one of the major differences between Midtown and Buckhead is walkability. So if you are into walking around, getting some green space in, then you definitely want to be living in the Midtown area. No matter where you live in Midtown, you can probably get over to Piedmont Park within a mile or so. Just really depends. I mean, there's a lot of condo complexes right along the park, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, Piedmont Park is just Atlanta's Central Park, if you will. And it is a great place to walk your dog. They've got an awesome dog park. They've just got nice big green fields if you want to hang out or throw a ball, catch a frisbee, that kind of thing. They also have a farmer's market every Saturday. They have a public pool, there's playgrounds, and they do a lot of festivals there. So you can always expect something going on over at Piedmont Park. So besides walking to Piedmont Park, you can also probably walk about 1.5 miles to 2 miles over to the Beltline, and then you can connect to a bunch of different fun neighborhoods that way. So that's a really great trail as well. And then also just walking around in Midtown, it's really pleasant. I mean, you can walk to different restaurants. It's just got a cool city vibe, and you're gonna always see people out walking around. There's also some different bike paths in the Midtown area. Now, it's not complex. Atlanta just doesn't have a good biking trail system, but it's much better than Buckhead, which I don't really remember seeing any bike lanes in the Buckhead or the heart of the Buckhead area. So I would definitely have to vote for Midtown if you're looking in for walkability. If you don't really care about that, then Buckhead is definitely a good choice. There's just not as much to walk to. You can walk to a lot of shops and restaurants, that kind of thing, but everything is a little bit more spread out. It's going to take you a little bit more time. Now, Buckhead does have one major green space. It's actually bigger than Piedmont Park, and that's Chastain Park. The problem is that if you're living in an apartment complex or a condo building, you're going to have to drive over to Chastain Park. It's just not a walkable destination, and unless you have, you know, over $2 million to buy a home around the Chastain Park area, yeah, you're definitely going to be driving your car, parking somewhere, and then enjoying the park. But the park is very beautiful, and it has a ton of amenities. It has a horse area where you can ride horses. They've got a pool, they've got the tennis courts, they've got a golf course, they've got an adorable playground, which I love taking my kids to, and just a beautiful sidewalk space all around the park that you could walk or jog around. So it's very, very pretty, but again, you just can't get there by walking from where you live unless you live in Chastain Park. Speaking of space, if you are wanting to not feel like you're packed in really tight and you have some space to breathe, then Buckhead would probably be a better choice for you. So I looked up on niche.com the population numbers for both Midtown and Buckhead. And Midtown had 26,000 people in population roughly, and Buckhead was more like 14,000. So Midtown is about twice as many people living in that area. But Buckhead, remember, Buckhead is a lot bigger and a lot more spread out. Midtown, they have a ton of condo buildings and apartment buildings all condensed in a smaller compact area. Now, if you're looking for a single family home, then definitely Buckhead would be a better choice for you, because Buckhead has, for starters, they have a lot more single family homes than in Midtown. Midtown just has kind of like a small little section of single family homes, and those homes are packed in very tight. You're going to get very little yard, and you're going to look out your side window of your house and see your neighbor probably. So in Buckhead, you can actually get a pretty good, decent lot. I mean, you can get huge lots if you've got, a couple $1 million, but if you're looking for a kind of standard average home in the Buckhead area, which is probably going to be in the $1 million range, which, it's expensive, but you're going to get a little bit more of a yard, and you'll have a little bit more space between your neighbors. Now, I mentioned cost, and now let's just go into which one is more expensive to live in, Buckhead or Midtown. Surprisingly, Midtown is slightly more expensive. I pulled the numbers in the last 6 months of the median sales prices for townhomes, condos, and single family homes. And Midtown was more expensive in both single family homes and condos. Buckhead was actually more expensive in townhomes, but Buckhead also has a lot more townhomes to choose from than Midtown. So Midtown, the median sales price for a single family home is $1.25 million, while Buckhead is just around $1.1 million. For a condo, Midtown is $360,000, and for Buckhead, it's $305,000. And if we're looking at townhomes, like I mentioned, in Midtown, it's $470,000, and for Buckhead, it's $605,000. You can see here that Midtown is just slightly more expensive, but let's not be fooled here, because Buckhead has definitely some of the most expensive condo complexes or units that you can find in the city. I've seen one that sold for $3 million. I don't think Midtown has hit that range yet. They do have some more luxury condos that have been built in more recent years, and they're around the $2 million mark. But single family homes, those can get expensive in the Buckhead area. We're talking about areas like Tuxedo Park and Mount Perrin. Those areas, you're going to find like the multi-million dollar, $10 million mansion. So yeah, Buckhead is definitely a very, very expensive area. Now, if you're looking to rent in one of these areas, the rental prices in Midtown are just slightly more expensive than Buckhead as well. The average price for a one-bedroom unit in Midtown is just around $1,900, and for Buckhead, it's right around $1,600. Next, let's talk about the vibe between these two. Okay, so Buckhead, Buckhead has that stereotype of being ritzy, fancy, kind of yuppie, button down people that want to be seen. It's like the fancy cars and the really nice clothes and glamorous and all that good stuff. Now, I'll be honest, I have friends that live in Buckhead, and they are not like all stuffy, and I think that's what people think of Buckhead people, is they're just kind of rich, stuffy people, but there's some really nice, down-to-earth people. Now, you are going to get a little bit of an older generation that live there, but don't be fooled. There's tons of young people that live there too, but Buckhead has just been known as, where kind of like the wealthy ones retire. And in Midtown, you are going to get probably a more younger crowd in the 20s, 30s, but don't be fooled out there either, because I know a couple that they're now retired. They live in a penthouse of a condo in Midtown and love it. So you can definitely see a mix of population in both of these areas. Now, I will say the median or the average income between Midtown and Buckhead, I looked this up, and for Midtown, it's roughly around $99,000, and the average income for Buckhead is $140,000 roughly. But I would say that, again, going back to Midtown, you're going to get more of kind of like an urban feel. I don't know, there's like a city buzz in the air when you go there. There's a lot of people out walking around. In Buckhead, You don't get as much of people walking around Buckhead, except if they're walking from work to lunch or something like that. In Midtown, there's always just people going out at all hours. So no, I would say, like, if you're moving from a big city like a New York or a Chicago and you want that, high-rise living, city life feel, I would definitely pick Midtown over Buckhead for sure. So what can you do in these two areas? Well, Midtown is very, very artsy. You have the Woodruff Arts Center, you have the High Museum of Arts, you have the Puppetry Arts Museum, or is it Center of Puppetry Arts? You have the Botanical Gardens right there on the northern edge of Piedmont Park. And let's not forget the Fox Theater that has some amazing Broadway shows that come there. So you're gonna get a lot of artsy things to do. And there's tons of restaurants in Midtown. In fact, if I had to pick Midtown versus Buckhead in terms of the food scene, both are pretty equal. Buckhead has a lot of great restaurants as well. And flipping it over to Buckhead, things that they have going on there. Buckhead, maybe not quite as much to do, but again, it's a lot more spread out. But they do have the History Museum. They have the Buckhead Theater that has a lot of music shows there. And, obviously a lot of shopping. So they've got the Lenox Mall, the Phipps Mall, the shops of Buckhead, a lot of boutique shops all scattered throughout the Buckhead area. So if you like shopping and like being in the center of all of that, then Buckhead would be the way to go. Before I go any further, I do want to mention that if you want to get a better feel of these areas and see more visuals of both the Midtown and the Buckhead areas, I've got vlog tours on both of these. Go check these out on my channel. And I do a very kind of in-depth of walking around these areas and pointing out all the stuff. So check out those vlog tours. Okay, here's a big one that people want to know. Which one is safer, Buckhead or Midtown? Okay, Buckhead has been in the national news in the last couple of years. Buckhead's just seen an uptick in crime, and people are getting frustrated with it. And, I will say in any big city, there's going to be crime. And my belief is kind of like, we go through phases and ebbs and flows of crime, and, we kind of squash it. So according to niche.com, the grade level that they give Buckhead and Midtown, so in Buckhead they're giving it a B-, and in Midtown they're giving it a C. So there you go. I mean, am I fearing for my life when I go into these areas during the day? No, not at all. I had a mom who called me up after she saw one of my YouTube videos. She has a daughter that's moving to Atlanta to go to school at the Emory area, and she was just like, where should my daughter live? I'm afraid that everywhere is just full of crime. And you got to remember, crime happens everywhere. And honestly, like, you're fine. I mean, I always say don't go anywhere at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And that's when kind of all the bad stuff happens anyway. But, Buckhead and Midtown, I would feel very comfortable walking in either of these areas. And, as long as I'm with a group in the evening hours, then I would totally be fine either way. The final factor I'll talk about is traffic. And is there one area that has more traffic than the other? A lot of people will say that Buckhead does, and I really can't tell you exactly. I mean, I've been in both areas and both can have pretty bad congestion just depending on what time of the day it is. I will say if you're leaving Buckhead at anywhere from the 4 to 6 hour and traveling south, it's horrible. The traffic, it just gets so backed up, and there's just no way to get out of Buckhead really quickly. Those roads are just very congested. Midtown, at least, you can pop onto the interstate pretty quickly off of several different streets. Midtown does have a lot of one-way, so you do have to know how to navigate that a little bit. It's pretty easy though. So I don't know. I think both can have pretty congested areas. It just depends on the time of the day. But if you are working south of town, maybe you're working over at Delta or near the airport, live in Midtown. That might be the better. You'd definitely be a lot closer in Midtown than in Buckhead. But Midtown and Buckhead are only a couple miles apart if you follow Peachtree Street. Buckhead, if you are working up north, kind of by the perimeter area, then that's going to be a little bit shorter commute than living in Midtown. But again, we're talking very minimal differences here in terms of commute times. But if you're working up north, then Buckhead might be the better option for you. there you go. Those are all the points I wanted to highlight. In summary, I would say that if you really want to feel like you're getting that true city living vibe, then I think Midtown would be the way to go. Me personally, I would think I would fit better in the Midtown area. I just like to run, and so Piedmont Park is right there. You can really walk to a lot of different things. You're also very close to the Beltline, which is very popular to walk along and go hang out and grab a drink at a different restaurant. And it's just a lot going on, and I just feel like it's a younger crowd. Now, Buckhead, it's, you know, if you're really like the glitzy glamour lifestyle, just want to be by all the shopping, but also have a little bit more space, then Buckhead might be a better fit. So hopefully this helped you out. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email, or put those comments down below. And hey, if you live here in the Atlanta area or have lived in the Atlanta area and you're watching this, let everyone that's watching this video know which one you prefer, Midtown or Buckhead, and why. Because you know, it's not a one answer fits all. It's really going to depend on that person. So help the people out that are watching this video and want to know which one is better. Put your thoughts below. We would all love to hear them. But until next time, you guys, I'll see you around the neighborhood.